Hi everyone, I'm Kensho Watanabe.
Hi everyone, and I'm Lina Gonzalez-Granados, and today is our fourth episode of Conductors Collective at the TDO Network. We are really happy to have the Director of Artistic Administrations of the Dallas Opera, David Lomeli. Hi David, how are you?
Hello. Hi guys, thank you for having me with you today.
Thanks, David. So we're going to do something quite different than we've done in the last episodes where we've been interviewing each other or our guests. We're going to turn the tables today and have David interview us about our careers and how we got started in all of this. So we want to keep it really different this time in this episode.
Bum.
Yeah.
Well,
Have mercy.
just like my little boy Tomas says, he's obsessed with FIFA, even though that he is like FIFA the game, like the PlayStation soccer game. And as soon as like he finished a match, like he's like 4.5, and he's like, "Are you ready for the next one?" So here we go. Are you ready for the questions?
Here we go.
I'm a huge fan of both of you. I think the profile of who you represent and how you do it today in the classical music stratosphere, it's amazing what you guys are doing and how you're doing. So I want to ask one thing. You are both of you, you both have Schulte prizes, very heavily coveted assistantships in major orchestras. You both are foreign, but are based in America, and you have your careers kind of like based on American careers, let's say, right? You are represented by major firms, as Jonas Holt and Cami Music. What is at this moment, and at the same time with Corona in front of you, what is the biggest challenge for this kind of like, you already are besides the chain, like what I was talking to you a little bit offline. If you're in a bar, you already clear the chain, you're in. That is so hard to get in. So you're in, but now you're in this industry. What is next for you guys? What is the biggest challenge today? That is like, I just got in and then Corona happened. Bum. So what do you think?
Lina, would you like to go first?
It's a really difficult question. Thank you for starting with that one. It has given me a lot of thought, all of this that has happened. That I was a little bit sick with COVID, and it really forced me to stop a lot and just like think about my next steps. And the truth is that I am starting to think a little more on the short term, establishing goals that are more achievable at of the short term. I'm trying at this moment to be as local as possible because I really want to keep affecting change. So if I stay put until something else happens, until something is open, then I'm not gonna be what I always have thought that I am. Really humbly, I want to say, like, I really want to be an agent of change. So however it happens, it needs to happen always. So for me at this moment is the Conductors Collective with Kensho, and then trying to work on my orchestra, trying to develop a season for the orchestra here in Boston, and just see when things open, how we can start. But yeah, it has like, I think I have always been like a goal setter. Like if I don't have a goal, then it's difficult for me to just go through life. So now it's like on the smallest side. So before it was like get this and get this. It doesn't matter how I arrive. Now it's just okay. Let's see what I can get to keep growing.
Okay. Kensho?
I think two challenges that come to mind that I was facing kind of pre-pandemic, pre-lockdown. So one that I was just getting in the flow of was, this was my first season, this 1920 season was my first full season away from the assistantship in Philadelphia, and just starting my kind of full-time guest conducting schedule. And so I was just getting in the flow of meeting the orchestras, examining the work culture, getting in there and just understanding how that all works, adjusting, learning from that experience, learning that taking that lesson and applying to the next one doesn't necessarily work either. You have to just kind of take one as each case study and really adjust and learn stuff about yourself. So that was one of the things that I was just getting in the flow of. And I felt like, and just for that to have stopped, I'm now like trying to figure out other ways of getting that kind of thinking going on in my head. The second challenge, or it's a little bit more broad, but it deals with my identity in terms of being a Japanese American conductor, where I think now I'm very much accepted as like an American conductor in the States. If I go outside the States, who the heck am I? You know, I mean, I go to Japan and it's really funny actually. And the first time I went to conduct in Japan was with the Saito Kinan Orchestra in Matsumoto. And I was just lucky enough to get invited to do like a small part of a concert with the Saito Kinan Orchestra. And I don't know how much you know about how Japanese names are written, but there is the Chinese characters that are called kanji that all Japanese names are based off of. And then there's, of course, like a basic alphabet that's kind of, it's phonetic, it's like the ABCs. And then there's a special alphabet that's basically the same phonetic alphabet as the basic one, but it's used for foreign words, foreign names. And so when I was born in Japan, I had a four kanji name that spells out Watanabe and Kensho. When I went back to Japan, they printed my name, first of all, with the first name first. So it was Kensho Watanabe, very Western. And they wrote it in the alphabet that designates like a foreign thing.
Wow.
And I had really mixed feelings about it because already as an outsider, and as you can see with my first personality, I'm extremely Americanized. So I already feel like an outsider, even though I speak Japanese, I understand it perfectly, but I'm also tall. So I just don't fit in, you know? And so dealing with that as an artist, especially in a place that you were born, is very interesting, you know? So figuring out who I am as an artist, how global I can be, right? So my fiance is also French. So I'm learning French right now and like integrating into her family who's from the south of France. Like my identity as a person is now ever evolving, I think, and how I'm trying to connect that to my conducting in some way.
Yeah, you know, that is so fascinating, you know, because I think the three of us relate in a certain way, you know. We are Lina, like clearly you're not from here either. You know,
why do you doubt that?
Right.
Wanna give me away?
Right. And clearly I'm not from here either. And but we have made our artistic professional home the United States, where you know, in the United States there are certain things that we have given opportunities, or somehow like people have zeroed in who we are, because we also come from where we're coming from, you know. Like exactly. There is a big situation now where there's a desire to hear, or a small one, but like at least it's now very important, of hear minorities conduct, play, cast, sing, lead, and at least have them included, you know. And now we have a place in the United States, but then when you go out, in a lot of places, like doesn't matter, you know. Like a lot of the times when you go and make music, and especially if you're not in America, it's like, okay, so what do you do, right? And it happens the same way, you know. Like I'm sure that how many times do you get a stereotype when you get asked about something that is not your preference in music making, that let's say because you're Latina, they want you to conduct a just Latina program, or just because you're American or Asian descent, like you have American music or Asian music independently, right? Like so many times everybody wanted to offer me concerts where I would sing zarzuela in a certain part of the concert, right? So how have you dealt that from coming from where you are, and at the same time trying to claim, you know, not batting an opportunity, let's say like Detroit Symphony is offering you like Gershwin, and you're like, of course I want to do it, but then it's like, is it something that I really want to do, or is just to put that I play the Detroit Symphony? That's also very, very important. So how do you manage to keep your heritage and your musical and your marketability in reign and have a balance with those three things?
Yeah. Early on with Terry, my manager at Escanes Holt, we talked about this very much in, of course, the obvious of not being pigeonholed into being someone that is an expert on Japanese music. I think just also like my own identity, because I grew up basically here in the States. I moved when I was 5. It's not like I was brought up in that kind of discipline either. There's only been one instance so far in which my Japanese heritage has played into my programming. So I think I'm speaking from a place of privilege in that sense, and that I haven't had to deal with it as much. But it was in a special case in which an orchestra in Finland wanted to celebrate 100 years of Finnish-Japanese relations, and they had a concert specifically for that. And so they asked me to do a piece of Takemitsu's, and also a contemporary work of Hosokawa's that featured a Japanese traditional instrument, and the shakuhachi, which if you haven't heard, it's freaking awesome, this instrument.
Right.
It's like a recorder, but like so visceral and amazing. And actually, that was probably the most Japanese I felt, was in Finland, listening to this like Japanese instrument, of all places in Finland, I felt the most Japanese. But what we did was we said, okay, yes, we'll take this repertoire, we'll make it, but then on the outside, we'll do repertoire that would suit me at the moment and also suit the orchestra. So it was a chamber orchestra, so we settled on Hofner Symphony and Stravinsky Pulcinella. So it became kind of a very mishmash kind of program, but at the same time, a lot of what we talk about, Lina, we talk about this a lot in terms of planning our own guest conducting seasons in a way. We talked a little bit about how we are our own institutions in a way. So we need to kind of program our season thoughtfully as well. And also program repertoire that's actually going to be good for us to develop our skills on too. So it's always this balance of, okay, well, if you want the Japanese repertoire, we would like to do some of this repertoire that we haven't had under our belts, and we would like to do that. So it becomes really this kind of dance all the time. I've been lucky enough to not get pigeonholed yet, let's say, with American or Japanese repertoire. So I've been able to do all the other repertoire that I've been interested in. But it definitely is a careful dance. And it definitely helps when you have, a manager that can also stick up for you in that respect.
That's awesome. Lina, how do you manage also to keep your repertoire and your brand as universal as possible?
Yeah, well, I have always thought, and yesterday actually Gaby Frank said it so beautifully in our webinar, that a way to show the different facets of our identity is as conductors, because we look the way we are, but we also have like an intellectual mind, and that's what we want to show off. It's the way that we curate our seasons and our concerts. So yes, for me, my manager takes really, really good care in that sense, repertoire-wise, and he's trying to push me to go further on my canon, because I am repertoire-wise. At the beginning of my career, I did make a full decision that I wanted to further my knowledges in Latin American music and in American music, like really, really niche at the beginning. So he actually wants me to get out of my box so I can explore the other sides of my identity. What I do, for example, if I go to Latin America, I barely do Latin American music, but I do American music. Try to, for example, here in the States, if someone asks me, depends on the repertoire of Latin American music, I try not to accept Cinco de Mayo, Fiery Latinas, women composer Latinas, like that. It's like always getting into the market, but just like getting to the deep, why this repertoire matters. So actually next season, I'm going to do a concert of full Latin American music with the LA Phil. But it's music that I've never done in my life, and it's like highly contemporary. So I am like going to the other side. And I do take advantage of the stereotypes actually, because um, this sounds terrible that I take advantage of it, but it's the only way at the beginning to actually have a like a window or a door open. So if I don't look like anybody else, well, like, and if I'm unique in that sense, well, I at least I want people to see me conduct, and they can make their own decisions. I think, yeah, sometimes things have been advancing, but at the same time, there is this like risk aversion that makes it difficult to advance. You know, we see it in opera, we talk all the time. Like I want to keep doing, like, if no one invites me to do, like, I don't know, ring cycle, at least I know that I can do perfectly well every Catan opera, and then it will give me to the you know, by my craft I can show myself. But then whatever opportunity comes, I take it at this moment.
That's fascinating. That's really good. You know, there's always that question, you know, and I have it with at every level, you know, like with big conductors that, you know, the big Italian conductor that wants to do Wagner for the first time, and everybody's like, no, you're a Turandot conductor, you're Italian, you shouldn't be doing this. Or the German conductor wants to do bel canto too, or the Czech conductors that they are like done doing Rusalka and they want to do Trittico, right? Like it's fascinating how does it do it, and how the lessons of the people that have been able to do it correctly and right, you know, and the ones that haven't been able to get out of the stereotype too. So there's not a good or a bad answer. I think that there's many ways, but it's good to know, like, young people that are being successful today with the way that technology and mentorship and the detection institutions are there, how you still have to be able to navigate those very commercial ways that, again, everybody has their own way. So with all these things that you learned through your journey, you know, like to break up images or expectations from you because of the way you look, partnering correctly, right? And having interaction with your audience, owning who you are, getting right feedback. So now I ask you again, like, and you want to be agents of change, and you want to get your own thing, right? Like, what do you do different in your plan of change? Because you guys are very, very entrepreneurial and very, like, you have goals and journeys, right? So if we go back to things as it was normal post-corona, right? Like, there's a vaccine, we can go back to the theaters, everything. What had this experience of being at home for 11, 12, maybe more weeks has taught you that you can bring now to the podium once you're back?
That's a loaded question. I don't know how to answer that. I think if I think back about what I have done in my life and how I arrived here 11 weeks after Corona quarantine, I would say that I need to remind myself how adaptable I am. Like, I have adapted to so many situations, and even in this, that I have never stopped and I have never given up. Sometimes when I'm like in the center of my own thoughts, I was like, oh, maybe I cannot do it, maybe I cannot do it, and then I look it back and it's like, whoa, look at all of this that I can do. So if I take that with me, I think I will go to the world with a really more positive attitude, because now I feel like I can do it all in a lot of ways, you know, and because I just, it's not that, how do I say this? It's just that I can adapt, and I can, you know, like, it's like I can do this. There is no limits, because we're still like growing even in these in these particular times. And if we bring that energy to the table, we can change things. Mm-hmm. You know, we're talking about changing things, and that the business has to change, and that we want like a healthier community of conductors, younger conductors learning in a healthier way and everything. So in order for that to happen, big changes have to happen. So in that sense, like in my own life, I can, like now I realize that I can adapt really fast, which I never thought I was going to be like that.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just last thing is like, Lina, like, I mean, look at what we are doing together, right? I mean, I was just like, looking at all the, speaking of all the old, legendary maestros, and they're getting together in these Zoom chats. And the first thing they say is like, wow, like we've never been in the room together, but it's great to have this kind of conversation now on Zoom. And it's like, like the fact that Lina and I like are working together on this project that is inclusive and open and bringing other conductors in and sharing that knowledge, I think just hasn't happened before. And so, not to say like, look at how great we are, but I think that we need to take stock of just saying, oh, wow, like maybe there's something in the conducting field that has always kept things locked up, hidden, like being helpful to a certain extent, but then not sharing some of the industry secrets in a way, And so, look, I think that we're just trying to change that in some way. And I think it's a beautiful thing that we get to work together, Lina.
Yeah, no, honestly. So we had, yesterday we were looking at our stats and we had like 39 countries, people tuning in from 39 countries that we never thought people were gonna come for, and it's just crazy in that sense that we just needed the idea and make it happen. I mean, we non-stop, we work really hard to make this happen. It's just a 1 week, like webinar a day, but we work maybe 6 hours, 7 hours a day just to make sure that the content is meaningful and that people are getting, like, if people sit there to hear us speak, we are giving them something that is valuable, bringing valuable guests, like now taking a Rolodex and actually say, hey, can you please help us? Because we really, I mean, education and this information shouldn't be obscure. Talking to someone to approach us shouldn't be obscure. I mean, knowledge of the business should not be like that. It should be free. Everyone should have the access. We should all have, like, what a beautiful thing would be that everybody has a shooting chance to break the ceiling instead of just looking afar, Yeah, some of us will get it. Some of us won't get it, but at least that we have the information to make the decision if we want to go there or not.
And that's like, I'm very proud of this because of this answer, because at the end of the day, this is why, again, you guys, when I started seeing what you guys were doing in the pilot episodes that you guys had, it was exactly what I saw. This is a massive change. This is a real game changer, for the industry. The world of conducting has been super secret about how you crack it. Major conductors, since there's always one leader of the orchestra, you don't see them. They don't talk. And if they talk in like very strange bars, like it's that direct one-on-one approach is very, very secretive. There's always, that's why the Heart Institute for Women Conductors exists. There is also the myriad of testimonials that I have from the Heart Institute applications of the difference of treatment between women and men in training and in apprenticeship circles and in conductors and all these things. And so the moment that you have you both at the level that you guys are, with the branding that you have, with the people that are related, that's what it makes these Conductors Collective so special. And I think what I hear now is that I hope that moving forward, you keep that window into the process of becoming a major maestro open to your audience, because it's something that we never learn. It's something that also is teaching us now as a digital platform, that people are interested in the process, not just in the main event. Of course, the main event is what makes the bigger bucks, right? but without the backstage stories and without the nerdydom that we have, ESPN wouldn't exist. NBA TV wouldn't exist. Bravo wouldn't exist. Food Network wouldn't exist. We don't have those things about classical music. We only have the products. We don't know what Igor Levit, who does he goes out, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless that person is suddenly from another industry that has a bigger awareness about the 360ness of a major public like person, right? But our public personas are not really public personas. But you guys have made us now from these past weeks. Your followers, they also want to know, and they also relate with you in a very, very different ways that major maestros and major opera singers have never enjoyed before. So kudos to that, like from my chair, like, as a big fan and part of your commercial journey, I salute you for doing this in a field that it's not really, really open, you know.
Yeah.
So, and just to see both sides of gender, of different nationalities, different language, different musical tastes, experience, combine into putting something out there of meaningful content for the conductors that want to break into the profession, it's gold.